Most of you probably wouldn't have been able to tell that this is the John Sykes variation of the Edwards Les Paul 130CD if I didn't tell you in the title. It is in fact the 130CD JAS color variation with a couple of modifications, so it's no longer the John Sykes look, but in my humble opinion, it's an improvement. It's okay if you don't know who John Sykes is. I know I didn't before I got this guitar. But I'm most definitely sure that even if you don't know who he is, you've probably heard some of his riffs. He was in a couple of bands, but the most important one that you've probably heard of is Whitesnake with David Coverdale. He wrote some amazing riffs during his time in Whitesnake, like the intro riff that I played, Crying in the Rain. Throughout the 80s, he mainly used a black Les Paul custom with a chrome pickup rings and a chrome pickguard. The John Sykes is a color variation of the ELP-130CD Edwards Les Paul. And it has a silly name. 130 stands for the 130,000 yen price. C is custom and D is probably the Duncan pickups that most of these have. I'm sure you've noticed that these are discontinued, and this happened recently. Some people are speculating that this is because of the recent Gibson lawsuits, but remember, Gibson patents over the LP, V and Explorer shapes don't apply to Japan. Some people claim that it's because they are out of Duncan pickups. We are yet to find out. Anyway, the 130CD comes in a couple of colors, the black with gold hardware, the white with gold hardware, and then there's this, the JS, standing for John Sykes. It is the same guitar that I have, but originally it had a chrome poker chip, chrome pickup rings, Duncan distortion set of pickups and chrome pickguard. These had been replaced. If you wanna know who John Sykes is, he is this gorgeous man right here. God, I wish that was me. Hopefully I'll talk about him more in another video when I find an unmodified John Sykes guitar. You might ask, why would somebody buy a JS and not keep it stock? The answer is simple. A lot of people, including me, like black Les Pauls with chrome hardware. It's much easier to swap out a couple of plastic pieces instead of the entire hardware, right? Now let's see the official specs of this thing. Here are the specs. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds on screen so you can read them, and here on the bottom you can see what I was talking about. The price is 130,000 yen without tax. This is roughly around $1,000 with or without tax. Since they're discontinued, you can find them on the second-hand market for around 1,300. Here's the current price of the Les Paul Custom. You do the math, but there's a catch though. The ED serial number Les Paul Edwards, same as the EX Explorers produced by Edwards, are not entirely made in Japan. They are made in the ESP factory located in Jixi, China, then shipped to Japan where the hardware and electronics are added and the setup is done. I'm gonna link my Edwards Explorer video review with all the information about the Jixi factory above. Even though this is modified, I'm gonna go through the official specs and then say what's modified. First of all, we got a 2-piece mahogany body, a 3-piece hard maple top with 7-ply binding, probably a 3-piece mahogany neck with a set neck construction, ebony fingerboard, 24.75-inch scale and 12-inch radius. These look like jumbo frets with pearloid inlays on the fingerboard. The Gibson Headstock Edwards logo, and these are the original chrome Goto tuners that only the John Sykes has. It has a bone nut. The pickup rings and the pickups were replaced with EMG 8166. The original pickups were Duncan distortions for the John Sykes only. We have the original reflector knobs, the original TABR1 bridge made by Goto, and the tailpiece is also Goto Japan. I am not gonna take out the pickups this time because apparently the owner had a hard time installing those Gibson pickup rings. It had cheap Chinese black pickup rings before that. Originally the JS color variation had the chrome pickup rings and the chrome pickguard with the chrome chip on the 3-way switch. What I can do is measure these. The EMG 81 measures at 22K. The EMG 66 is at 22.6, a little bit holler. And then the middle position is 11.2. I'm not entirely sure that this ABR style of go-to bridge is metric. I measure the distance, it says TABR on the bottom, it has the individual saddles, looks like a ABR1 bridge, but I'm gonna guess it's metric, but don't take my word for it. It is thumb wheel adjustable and the poles are directly into the body as an ABR bridge should. This particular Edwards belongs to a friend of mine and it has been set by a professional tech, so I'm gonna do my best to save the setup. The tailpiece is by Goto as well. You got the usual controls for a Les Paul, the 3-way switch, and the poker chip was replaced with genuine Gibson one, same as the pickup rings. These are the chrome reflector top hats, bridge volume, bridge tone, neck tone. They come originally on this guitar. I have them on a couple of guitars and they are my favorite. The next guitar that I'm gonna review, the Gibson Firebird, also has these. They fit perfectly with the chrome theme of this entire guitar. The full thickness body features binding on top and on the bottom, and I see it's considerably wider than on the Les Paul custom Gibson. The neck features wide binding, no fret nips, and black side dot inlays. These seem like jumbo or extra jumbo frets. They were done nice, they don't scratch or anything, overhang. This is a beautiful ebony fingerboard and I love the grain on this one. It looks like a high grade ebony. The inlays though is where ESP had to cut some costs apparently. They are not real mother of pearl, they're pearloid and you can kind of tell, especially on the last one. Luckily they didn't chip out with the nut though, this is real bone. This is one of the main reasons that you want to go with Edwards, because they have the open book style of headstock that Gibson has instead of the ESP waving flag. It has a couple of interesting things going on, like their version of the Les Paul Custom Diamond made of pearloid and the Edwards logo, pearloid again. This cavity reminds me of most ESP standards and custom guitars that I've seen. It's the big cavity, it has the one-way truss rod in it and it's covered by this huge cover that I've seen on the Iron Cross custom shop made guitar. While on the bottom, black gloss on the top, nothing written on it, held in place by a single screw, which is a bit of a problem because it tends to lift on this end. But they made it slanted, which is pretty cool. They didn't just cut it straight, they made it slanted, so when you put it against the nut, it fits perfectly with the angle. That's a bit of a surprise. The nut measures at 44.4 millimeters, but if we measure right after it, it's 44 or 1.73 inch. Back to normal at the 12th fret, 53mm or 2.08 inches. The thickness at the first fret is 21.5mm or 0.84 inch. 23.7mm or 0.93 inch at the 12th fret. That's a bit chunky. Let's just in case measure the 11th so it's not the neck joint. Same thing. The body is roughly 50mm or 1.96 inch thick. The fingerboard radius is a solid 305mm or 12 inches as it should be. The neck profile has a nicely rounded thin C shape, a little bit chunkier towards the 12th fret. This is a full thickness guitar, it's modeled after the Gibson Les Paul Custom after all. It features binding on the top and on the bottom. The top has a 7-ply, the bottom has a 5-ply binding, set neck construction. The output jack features this chrome metal rectangular plate. The strap buttons are not original, they had been replaced with Ernie Ball. And this is what the cavity for the 3-way switch looks like. It seems to be painted with a conductive shooting paint. It is covered by this plastic cover that has shooting on the bottom, gloss on the top. Then there's the electronics compartment. This particular Edwards had been converted to active pickups, so you can see it has the quick connect EMG ports and the cables. I was surprised to see a second 9V battery terminal though. At first I thought this has the 18V mode, but the owner tells me it doesn't. This is the 9V battery that the pickups use and it's hanging freely in the cavity. No surprises in the electronics compartment. The Chinese workers did the same excellent job that I saw on the Edwards Explorer. In fact, the quality of the routing and the applying of the shooting paint seems absolutely similar to the ESP standard quality that I'm used to seeing on Japanese guitars. Same goes for the covers and hardware, but these are put on when the guitar reaches Japan. Something else important that distinguishes the Edwards from the original Gibson Les Paul Custom: this doesn't feature the nitro finish, it has a polyurethane finish. If you don't know what a nitro finish is, I'm gonna link my Les Paul Custom White review above in which I explain it. This one features a chunky set neck joint. This, I think it's bigger than the Les Paul Custom. Now for the serial number, in my experience the ED serial numbers are made in the Jixi Chinese factory. The materials are shipped from Japan to the Jixi factory, the guitars are made there, then back to Japan and assembled with the electronics and hardware. Which is why I'm always surprised to see the Made in Japan sticker on the back of the headstocks of these. Here is a brand new 2021 made, probably the last batch of these before they got discontinued, listed in a shop in Finland. It has the Made in Japan sticker underneath the serial number. If Made in Japan equals assembled in Japan, then yeah, I agree, it's Made in Japan. Here you can see the current listing price as well. Anyway, we got ED, the Jixi factory in China. 18 is the year 2018. 36 is the 36th week of year 2018, which is September, the second day of the 36th week. It is Tuesday, September the 4th. 57 is the number guitar made in that day. If you think that I'm reading this serial number incorrectly, please let me know in the comment section. This is what the original JS Goto tuner looks like, made in Japan, Goto, with the Bean Goto logo on the back. This guitar already had a great setup, I did my best to save it, I'm just gonna put the same strings, 1046 in E standard. The weight seems similar to a lot of Les Paul customs, roughly 4200 grams or 9.24 pounds. Mr. Sykes here comes without a case, so my friend bought a nice Gator branded Les Paul case. It has 1, 2, 3, 1 in the back, 4 latches, and it looks like of a JJ inside. It has this cover that I'm used to seeing on 96 Les Paul custom cases, for example. I like this case and I actually prefer it over the original Gibson, it seems better quality. I see it's a bit longer, so this will probably fit a baritone as well. So let's try if the Schecter will fit here. I'm gonna put it on the stand here and I'm gonna show you it has this pocket that most Gibson cases has, you can put strings in there. It also features this beautiful brown Tolex and yellow stitching. Now let's see if this big boy will fit. I doubt it. Yep. The upper horn will not fit, but lengthwise seems perfect. So if you have a Les Paul baritone, like some sort of a Eclipse baritone, it will fit perfectly. these are most definitely the highest output pickups and highest output EMGs that I've tried. Until now, the headset in my ESP Iron Cross had this title, but I think these beat it. These are incredibly mid-focused as well, that's why it sounds like I'm playing with more gain when in fact I'm not. Now, what do I think about this Edwards Les Paul? I think it's an absolute bargain for the asking price. It's 4 times cheaper than the Les Paul Custom Gibson. And honestly, if this had the nitro finish as well and the mother of pearl inlays, it could have fooled me. Would I recommend it to somebody? Definitely, especially now when the prices are still in the normal realm, when they haven't skyrocketed because they're discontinued. Would I choose one over an Epiphone Custom? Definitely. Would I buy one over the EC1000 series of LTDs? Of course, they seem better. This seems on par with the quality of the ESP Standard or maybe E2 series. It's amazing, it feels great. If the Edwards is that good, I really wanna try the Navigator now. Thank you George for providing this guitar.